Good day to you all, and welcome to Bad Day Excellence, the podcast where we transform those tough days into opportunities for growth. I'm Brian Walsh, an optimist with over a decade of experience in marketing, leadership, and personal transformation. In that time, I have shed more than 100 pounds, run a marathon, built a successful freelancing business, and worked with some of the most inspiring people I have ever met. I'm here to help you build habits that create clarity, success, and a meaningful life, even when life feels chaotic. Every week, we'll dive into the art of habit formation and how you can apply it to your career, parenting, relationships, and beyond. Have you ever watched people and wondered, how did we learn to walk? Probably not. But seriously, how does an 8 to 12 month old just let go and take their first steps without overthinking it? Well, that is what we're going to discuss in today's episode. How to tackle things like a toddler and create the momentum you need to reach your goals. Ready to turn a bad day into your next breakthrough? Let's get started. I'm a father of two crazy boys. One is 9, the other is 3. I watch them act before they think all the time. Sometimes it works out, and other times, not so much. I've caught myself asking, well, what did you think was going to happen? This is all happening while I grab a bag of frozen peas to put on a new bruise. But that is the thing about kids. They don't think. I didn't either when I was young. I can still hear my mom's voice. You need to think before you act, as she said normally with a little aggravation, right? My younger brother definitely learned this the hard way when he jumped off a short retaining wall and in midair shouted, "Catch me!" Yeah, he hit really hard and ended up breaking his collarbone. Listen, kids don't overthink. They just do. They haven't failed enough to develop that inner voice of doubt. They learn by doing. And in doing, they develop a deeper understanding of themselves. And then there's us, adults. We overthink. We analyze, plan, and stress about the future, what others think, or whether we have the right training or the tools. Most of those thoughts get filed away in the back of our brain, waiting for the perfect time that never comes. We think, but we don't act. But what we don't realize is that just like toddlers learning to walk, we need to go for it. Stumble a few times, get up, and try again to make any progress. I was listening to this podcast earlier this week, and they referenced a book titled Die Empty. It sounds really abysmal, but just hang on for a second, all right? Here's a quick excerpt. The most valuable land in the world is the graveyard. In a graveyard are buried all of the unwritten novels, never launched businesses, unreconciled relationships, and all of the other things that people thought, I'll get around to that tomorrow. One day, however, their tomorrow ran out. That one cut me deep. When I heard that, I was just like, oh, crap. Especially since I came up with the peanut butter and jelly donut as a child and missed out on the empire that is now Uncrustables. Inaction is the only failure in life, and a lot of times we don't realize it until the end. How do we stop overthinking and start doing? Enter the Spaghetti Marshmallow Challenge, a fascinating experiment by Tom Wojcik that proves overthinking can hold us back. Here's how it works. Participants get 20 sticks of spaghetti, a yard of tape, a yard of string, and a marshmallow. The goal? Build the tallest freestanding structure that can support the marshmallow. Sounds simple, right? But here's the kicker. When they tested different groups, guess who consistently performed better than MBA students, engineers, and business professionals? Kindergartners. Yup, 5-year-olds crushed it. Why? Because while adults spent most of their time planning, strategizing, and overanalyzing, the kids just started building. They tested, failed, adjusted, and kept going. Meanwhile, the MBAs spent too much time debating the perfect approach, only to run out of time at the last second. I can speak from personal experience because I did this at one of my jobs, and we had 2 teams set up, and guess what? At the very end, when we looked at both towers, it was the one that didn't fall over, and it was ours, because all of a sudden I was like, let me just stick a couple of sticks into this marshmallow and stand it, because it was standing. I looked over and they were all analyzing and doing an amazing tower. But guess what? It fell over. So we won. The big lesson: action beats overthinking. Instead of waiting for the perfect plan, start testing ideas right away. Fail fast, learn fast, and keep improving. That's how progress happens, not by sitting around trying to get everything just right. So if you're stuck waiting for the perfect moment, take a page from a kindergartner's book. Just start building. It's time to squash overthinking, like Play Doh in your hands. Remember this acronym: TRY. Take Random Yanks. Instead of waiting for the perfect plan, just yank yourself into action. Like a toddler pulling at something they want without hesitation. No fear, just action. Want to run a marathon? Drop everything right now. Run to the mailbox. Want to write a book? Write down a terrible first sentence today. Starting a business? Post something in your house you don't like on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. Tackle something you've been putting off by embracing immediate action. In my book, Habitcraft 101, the very first prompt, I have you write down complete first chapter and then instruct you to cross it out with so much force you rip the page. Action releases dopamine, and that feeling of achievement is something you need to hold on to every time you move towards your goal. Speaking of my book, just a little update: I have 7 amazing people who decided to take the leap and read Habitcraft 101 to give me some early feedback. I didn't know how to write a book. I am still figuring it out. But one day I decided, start with a blog post. That started the whole momentum train, and all of a sudden, I'm here today talking about it with you on a podcast that I didn't know how to do either. Remember, you just have to take Random Yanks. Try for short. So here is your challenge this week. Set a timer for 5 minutes and start whatever you've been avoiding. Just begin. Start stupid, simple, and don't think. Channel your inner child. And once you're done, share it with me via Facebook at Bad Day Excellence or Instagram at WalshMeGrow. As always, I will post up on my blog, baddayexcellence.com, some additional takeaways and resources for you to build good habits. I also want to thank you all for listening and for everyone who's given me a 5-star rating. And now, for the very first time, a comment on one of my episodes. It's awesome. I'm really excited about it. Ratings, comments, and shares are all forms of showing love, not just to me, but to others, because together we can spread our good vibes to people on their bad days. I'm Brian Walsh, your guide to habit crafting and biggest champion. Thanks for tuning in to Bad Day Excellence. See you next time.